guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. It's been a really fun week full of pumpkins and all the fall things. Benjamin and I made a fall activities list that I shared with you in a video. I think it was this week. And it's just the sweetest thing. We got online and we looked at all kinds of different fall lists of things you could do. And he picked out the ones he wanted and we wrote our own list. We've checked quite a number of them off.
He's festive.
He's so festive. And when we went down to the garden center last time he was with me, my mom gave him a little trio of pumpkins. And when I was up tucking him in night before last or something, I noticed that he had them displayed in different areas of his room.
Yeah.
Oh, so cute. I love it. It makes it feel more fun and festive to me.
Yeah, when your kids are into it.
Well, when you're just surrounded by people that just get excited about things,
yeah.
It's fun. So that is what our week has been like. I hope you all have had a great week as well. I think we're just going to jump into the videos from this past week. The first one was moving perennials out of the cut flower garden and harvesting and making a wreath with Artemisia. I had absolutely no idea that sweet Annie Artemisia would grow to the massive size that it did. I don't know why. I mean, I think the pictures I saw of it were just kind of close-ups like of a bouquet. You know, you see the gal holding a bouquet and it's all the pretty ends of the plant instead of like the big bulk down below it. But those things, like the trunks, some of them are this big.
They looked exactly like kochia to me. Kochia weed.
I know. I think to most people that they do.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't like the look of them dried all that much. I experimented just laying some flat. I hung one big bunch of it, and then I have some in buckets of water. Those are looking the best so far. And then I made a wreath, which is fine. The wreath is fine. It just looks kind of dull. It's just kind of a dull looking
You should
plant.
try making one out of a kochia weed.
See the difference?
See what looks different.
You could make tons of wreaths out of that.
Oh, man, yeah.
No shortage of supply there. But I also moved out mostly Irrigation, which is the botanical name for sea holly. I've always known it as Irrigation, so I just call it that. And Echinacea. So Sue said, I can't find the video when Aaron talked about where you order your drip irrigation supplies from. Can you give that information again, please?
Do you know what? We just got approved to be a distributor for Rainbird stuff on our store. It's not there yet. It's but it's all the stuff that we use.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Ken told me yesterday or the day before.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So hold tight. We're gonna make like bundles and kits and things.
I do know we've talked about that before, but
yeah, we're not gonna like reinvent the wheel. You know, try to like 3D print our own stuff or whatever. Can you imagine?
That's next.
But so anyway, that's coming. But that's usually what we get, and we get a lot of our stuff locally, and you can too. Like it's not like we just want to just have it available if somebody doesn't have a local source.
So Rainbird is the brand that we like.
Yeah, primarily most of our stuff.
Lois said, where did you order your boxwoods from and what kind did you get? I really need to order about 50 of them and not sure how to go about getting that many. I would think your best bet would be to check with your local garden center and see if they can tack that onto one of their plant loads. That's what I did. We actually met the minimum with our order for the cut flower garden. Yeah. So I think that's the only thing coming in on that load because it's coming the very first week of October and my mom doesn't really want to have a whole bunch of other things, fresh in the nursery. For winter, but we ordered the winter gem boxwood, which is what we have the most of on our property. And I feel like we've had enough years of experience with a few different varieties to kind of put our stamp, at least for our area. I know every area is different and every area has different sorts of pressures, but winter gem, the growth habit for us, I feel like it's been better. It kind of creates more lateral branching than it does vertical. So it just creates a very sturdy shrub, as opposed to, we've got sprinter boxwood hedging too, which they grew really fast and they have formed into a hedge, but they have a little bit more of an upright, like ferny sort of texture. Like they don't create as much side branching, which at first I thought, am I not, trimming them at the right time or am I not doing it right?
It's all pretty much the same.
But I'm treating, all the hedging exactly the same and they just don't hold up to heavy snow loads or heavy rain. For us, it's because they're not put through the test very often, and when we do get moisture, it's like, this plant hasn't had a chance to build up a resistance to it, so they just lay flat. So we decided to go with winter gems. They're also, for us, it seems to be less susceptible to spider mite damage. They're just not as attracted to the winter gems, and I don't know if that's a us
Yeah,
problem.
that's such
I
a
don't
that's
know.
such a random thing. Like, why would one? But you can see it because we've got them right next to each other. And honestly, I haven't been all that impressed with the other boxwood that you planted around
Green velvet.
the green velvet.
They look better now than they did,
Yeah.
but boy, they came through the winter looking horrible.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a bad move. Let's tear them out and put winter gems in. They just look so much better everywhere else on our property.
Yeah, I'm assuming that back to the sprinter thing. I know that it's one of Proven Winner's like highest selling shrubs, and it's been around for a while.
I wonder if I can interject. I wonder if that's because, like in this case, Lois needs to order 50. I think when you're ordering things that are like hedging material items,
you're
you
going to
just
sell more of
naturally
it.
sell more.
But because it's been around for so long, I can't imagine that because landscapers are probably primarily responsible for that quantity. Like most of the time, landscapers are putting in hedges as opposed to just consumers.
Sure.
Wouldn't you guess?
We put in our own hedges.
If you think of all the landscaping projects, like think of all the malls in all of America, and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
right.
all the businesses that need,
Yeah.
boxwoods are such a because it's such an easy shrub to put in. Like
Right.
landscapers have to far and away exceed regular consumers. Anyway, landscapers are very specific about like, no, I will only do this variety because they've had, they have clients that they have to make sure their stuff is looking good for. And I just don't think other people are experiencing the same thing with sprinters that we are.
Right.
I think it's maybe like the high desert, like
Yeah.
the dry climate. Maybe in more of a humid climate,
Maybe so.
they do a lot better.
But,
I don't know.
pitting a bunch of varieties next to each other, against each other, it's kind of interesting to see which one pulls through.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, we have winter gems coming first week of October. It's going to be a big project. I was thinking about all the
But
strings.
they're not that big, right?
What?
They're not that big.
No,
The ones
they're
you
1
ordered.
gallons.
Yeah, those will be zip, zip, zip. That'll be easy.
I mean, in terms of hole digging, yes, but the prep work, like getting strings run, because I've got to make sure that every quadrant, like all the walkways line up with each other in every quadrant. We're going to have strings everywhere.
You're going to get really frustrated when you start putting in strings. You're going to have to do it by eye.
Either way, though, even by eye, I get frustrated. It's just, it takes forever. It takes
Yeah.
forever, like standing back and looking and making sure that everything's...
Because the problem with our cut flower garden is it's not straight. It's not 100% straight. And so if you do run a string, what would happen is that your hedge would actually be off from everything else. And so it would look bad to your eye if you ran a string.
Maybe. I just don't understand how we started that garden, and it's not like, how come one cannot get a straight line and get a perfectly symmetrical...
Well, one of the reasons is
space.
because of the edging that we did for the grass was never done to a line. And so...
Maybe it needs to be done to a line.
Maybe. Well, yeah, we'd have to redo the sprinklers too.
Oh.
Benny came and put the sprinklers in, and then the grass just kind of grew as it, wherever it was getting
As
water.
it does.
And
Yeah.
then you, by eye, just came in and put...
Did I do that?
Or maybe Paul and Bethany did.
I do not remember edging
I
that
remember
grass.
doing some of it, but I think Paul and Bethany did a
I
lot
think
of
I
it.
did a little bit too.
Yeah, it was probably a group effort. But
I can't remember. That seems
So,
so long ago, even though it wasn't.
what we would have needed to do is run strings and then make sure that the string stayed. I actually saw Jenny at Creekside because they did the whole grass thing, and they did it a lot smarter than we did because they left little like hooks in the ground where you can run a string again. So like the hook always stays, and you just run a
I
new
see.
string because
Yeah.
they had like army worms destroy their grass, so they had to put the grass back in. And I saw the little part where she was like, "We just put the string back," and I was like, "Oh, that's what we
Nice.
should have done." Because then you can put grass back in
Right.
and line it up with the string.
Right. Well, maybe we need to get some hooks for
Well,
things going forward.
We just need to demolish the whole area
Yeah,
and start fresh.
maybe.
Which we're not going to do.
No. Anita said, why did the sea holly spread so randomly? Will they continue to do that when you relocate them in the south garden? Most likely. They just, get spread around by the wind or, birds and pollinators spreading things around. And I did find more. There's more up in the potato bed area. They didn't do that last year. So this is I think their second year in there. But they sure did this year. Which I don't mind. They're easy to pull. Like if you want to just pull them and not relocate them or rehome them, that's totally fine as well. I just thought it would be fun to have that plant elsewhere in the garden because I enjoy it so much and so do the pollinators. Leanne said, your house is interesting. What is the porch used for that you hung the wreath on? Junk.
Yeah.
Junk. So that, we call it the back shade porch, and it's not junked up all the time, but like right now I've been going through all of our fall tubs. Oh, I need to do it with our Christmas tubs too. I had my stuff in just such disarray, and I've collected a lot of things. You guys have sent a lot of things through the years, and I needed to organize like September fall versus October fall, which is Halloween stuff, versus November fall, which is turkey related items. So the September fall stuff stays up all through the fall. The October stuff just goes out for the month of October, and then it can be put away in its own tubs. And then November stuff comes out after that and is out for the month of November. It's so slick now. Like, I have my September tubs, my October tub. I have like a couple October tubs and one November tub. But okay,
so
so
funny that
anyway,
there's like the progression.
there is.
Of
It's the
fall.
only season that's like that because you're celebrating different holidays, but they all kind of are related.
Sure.
So anyway, I've got my tub sitting in there, and then I've got a big giveaway pile going in there, and then that's it. I usually end up with like a little trash pile too of like things that have broken and that sort of situation. But after I'm done with that, we'll have it all cleared out. But we don't actually use that shade porch for other things other than that. Also, the room that you put the large vase in is absolutely gorgeous, but it doesn't appear to have a purpose other than to hold your china hutch. Yes, which I want to replace. Replace that hutch. That hutch came with the house. They didn't want to move it, and I thought, well, that works. It's there. Actually,
And we needed furniture pretty bad.
We did. We needed any kind of furniture we could get our hands on, and it's been nice. Like, I would get something similar so I could put my, I've got my stemware in there, and I've got my nice set of flatware in the drawers. Cloth napkins, like the nicer things go up in there. So I would need something that was similar, but it's not my style. It's a little bit like older traditional, I guess, like 90s traditional looking stuff.
Sure.
But that room we call the landing, and do you think that was the like dining room
Yeah, probably
area
was.
back in the day?
Yeah.
Because that area, or do you think that was like a living area? Because the other one, the one where we have the TV room in now, is connected to the kitchen. So it makes sense for that one to be...
Sure. Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
But yeah, because our house is kind of like has been added on to,
Mm-hmm.
the architect called it the here to there room because it's just sort of like
Facilitates movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's doors on all sides, or there's like an entry and exit
Right.
like on all four sides.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't put anything in there besides just something kind of in the middle, or maybe
Right.
something up against one little corner.
Right. Does your home have a lot of small little rooms like that? No, that's the only one that
It does have a lot of small rooms.
It does have a
though.
lot of small rooms.
It's not an open concept.
No, but it doesn't have a room that's just random like that one. That's kind of pointless. It's not pointless, but like you said, you can't really do a whole lot in it.
Yeah, we kind of have that similarly upstairs between the two bathrooms.
It's just like a larger part of the hallway, kind of.
It's just like a kind of really large hallway.
Yeah, our house is so weird.
Yeah.
Because it's 3.5 bath, but 3 bathrooms are upstairs, and there's a half bath downstairs. No bathrooms on the old side of the house. So there's 2 bathrooms directly across the hall from each other, and that's where it kind of opens up into like a little bit of a landing, a little bit of a wider part of the hallway before it goes up into the new part of the house, and then over to the other side with the bedrooms. So weird. I'm so used to it though now.
Yeah.
It was really strange when we moved in, but I'm used to it. Marty said, do you use hose clamps on your brown hose repair sections? Not really. Not normally. We used to.
It depends on where.
Really? Do you still use them somewhere?
Well, on most of the brown ones, it depends on where. Out in the dirtlands, we have to use them on everything.
Pressure's
like every
just
connection.
right.
Yeah, and the pressure isn't different there. It's connected to some of the same stuff as the South Garden.
Do you think it's because there's a buildup of pressure because there's not as much
Well, the
dripping
only
to
thing
use?
that's different about that is that the runs are very long. Like we ran 1 3/4 inch line quite a distance and then have been spidering off of that. So we're not using a lot of water for that zone, if that makes sense. It just goes a long distance and then each tree gets its own water. But for some reason that just every single connection blows out there. So I don't know.
Nisi said, can you share what variety of Artemisia that is? It's Sweet Annie. And I got the seed from Johnny's. I think I had some seed from Florette too that she sent out at one point. I can't remember which packet I used from. Julie said, what are the changes you're making in the cut flower garden besides the boxwoods? You said you're making changes to it, but didn't say what. Well, that's because they haven't been completely fleshed out yet. We are going to box around the exterior. There are some shade trees, the lindens, Redmond lindens that will be going in. to that area. We've got 12 of those. And there will be, so there's 4 quadrants right now. In each individual quadrant, which is 60 by 40, will be broken into 4 quadrants. And I'm going to probably be doing more boxwoods in the center, but we're going to save that for another year. So I haven't quite decided exactly what the center. I've got an idea in my head, but it's ever evolving. So we'll tackle that when we get to it. I will probably still be growing a lot of my cut flower garden things in there, but just differently. Shorter rows, smaller areas, less of everything. That's kind of where we're at with that. Janice said, so you aren't going to have a cut flower garden next year? No, I will have a somewhat of a cut flower garden next year. It just won't be like massive row crop sort of situation. I just have done that for a few years and I'm just a little bit wanting to try something new. Peggy Ann said, this whole commercial issue is so strange. I only had one, Ashley Furniture, and after 5 seconds I could skip it. Does anyone know why some viewers have what they say are too many and others have few or none? Also, as others have said, Laura and Aaron have no control over commercials. We don't. And always when we're coming up on a presidential election, yeah. I'm like, we can't control the political
right.
parties that are showing up everybody. So no, we don't have control over the commercial content, but you do. Like, you can kind of hone that, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all algorithm based. And I think that the whole skipping part, I think that's tuned to you as well. I think that like you've trained the algorithm to know if they can force you to sit through longer commercials or if you need to skip. So,
Or you could do YouTube
Premium
and not have any ads at all.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that is a month.
It's like 10.
I don't have 12. It.
That blows when I see that you turn on a YouTube video and you
watch
wait
YouTube
for the ad,
often,
I'm
though.
like, whoa. Because for me, I watch enough YouTube that
Yeah.
it's like the $10 a month or whatever it is
worth it.
totally worth it.
I watch a little bit, but I just don't spend a lot of time on it. I spend a ton of time reading.
Yeah,
I read
especially
a lot.
lately.
Yeah. Nancy said, why don't you ever go live on Facebook or YouTube? I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't like that there's no editing. So that makes me a little bit nervous. And I just don't ever feel the need to do it, ever. I never think about it. I see other people going live all the time.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're in our lane.
Sure.
And like the lane we're in is all I have capacity to do because I've got a lot of other stuff going on in life as well.
Yeah.
Like my days are.
Yeah, it's true. We've kind of like 6 videos a week. And if we were to add something more to that, it'd be untenable.
Well, and with, kids school and kids extracurricular stuff, Samantha is in ballet and Benjamin does piano lessons. There's just like so much you can do in a day and still have time to. I like to cook dinner and I cook dinner almost every single day. I want to still have time to do that. And there's some days where that's even kind of,
sure.
And I think that's for everybody. But yeah, I feel nervous about it because there's a lot of, inside jokes and sarcasm and stuff that maybe doesn't translate well.
Yeah, you almost have to explain like the backstory of something, because it's like the thing that you and I say to each other doesn't mean the thing that you're actually saying.
Right. Or, if something comes out in a little bit more of a negative tone, which, we all feel negative at times, but I don't want that to be what people feel like when they watch our stuff. I don't want people to walk away feeling like, oh, she's, a little cranky today or whatever, I don't know, or she's got a strong opinion about that. I don't like watching stuff like that, and I don't want to be that. And so, not that you would be that way on a live. I don't know. It just makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Next video is new grass update. Oh, it's looking so good behind the barn, and satisfying mulch in the new flower beds behind the barn. That was a big day, and I was doing some stuff with the kids earlier in the day, so I didn't get on the mulching in on it until you guys were almost done with the berm. And then we got the 2 big flower beds done with mulch, but the grass, like even since this video, it looks so good.
Yeah. I wonder if I'll even have a chance to mow it this fall.
I don't know.
Hopefully and probably, but
even like, we're all just looking at it, just thinking like there are no weeds.
Yeah.
Like it's all coming in beautifully. Wendy said, you all must be sore and tired. Did you all do that in one day? Yes, it is so nice to get all that nice and tidy before the Dreamstream crew comes. It looks fabulous. We were hoping that we could get it done sooner so that we could put the tent up. There's last time they did the pond installation, they put a big tent up with tables and such. We were hoping that that grass would be ready for that, and it's just not going to be, which is fine. But yeah, we were happy that there's green back there for when the crew comes. Kim said the new area looks beautiful. When do you use cardboard or not use it under the mulch? Well, you used it on the dirtland side because of the grass lawn that was there.
Yeah, you really only do it when you have like something actively growing that you don't want to grow through. This time of year, everything's pretty dry for us. Like in the summertime, so we don't have a lot besides weeds, and weeds are going to grow regardless. But if you've got grass that's, you need to smother, that's kind of what it is. If you need to smother something, then do the cardboard.
Sure. A Day in the Garden said, amazing transformation, and I love Benjamin's commentary. I have 2 questions. 1, will you be heating the future high tunnels like your existing greenhouse? No. We are going to be using them for overflow plants like we do now, plants waiting for projects. And then the other one I'm going to be growing in the ground, but not with heat. I might try heat tape in the soil, which I already have from past projects. So we might hook up some heat tape, but I'm not really even planning on doing that. I just want to have one to where I can move the gravel. Right now there's landscape fabric and gravel down. So both of them will have that base, but then I can remove gravel and like either burn holes in the landscape fabric or cut it out.
There's that road mix they put down.
Yeah, but it's not that bad. It's dirt and there's some rocks in it.
Yeah.
I planted in that before. It goes right down to native soil.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
You could also do raised beds.
I could do raised beds. I've thought about that as well.
You might actually prefer that.
Prefer it.
And then you could put it right over the top of everything. You wouldn't have to burn holes. That might be
the only benefit of having things in the ground, especially toward the sides, is that you don't have as much height because you do have the dome, like it starts to come in. So, but I'm not growing anything massively tall.
Yeah.
I would probably love that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the plan though.
Maybe we'll get with Kevin.
Yeah. To grow some things in, no heat, just protection. The next question in that number 2 is, have you thought of using riprap stone for retaining the soil on the steep embankment near the red barn? I used it on the steep embankment in my garden, and thankfully it's working well. Riprap stone.
Hold on.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
It's just like really large crushed rock.
Oh, really?
Really large in terms of like maybe baseball size and a little larger.
Does it kind of like lock together?
Yeah, in our area, we usually see river rock in that same, but this probably locks together a little better. But yeah, maybe we have more of like an overabundance of river rock, and so that's what we usually see on embankments. But
Tracy said, everything looks great. Why do you fast forward your videos? If we didn't, I think the retention would be very low. Especially on projects like that.
Yeah.
It takes a long time, like hours to do projects like that.
I tested editing one of the videos, and I uploaded like a longer version that wasn't as sped up and didn't have any music to it. And people seem to like it. And I think in some cases, we may do that in the future where we'll just post on this channel, maybe like a longer version if you want to watch that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have to edit your videos somehow. And, like if you don't like the way we do it, like it's just a preference.
Well, the videos are already like, every single day when they are ranging from 20 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a long commitment every single day. And we don't really want to make them all that much longer, I don't think, unless it's a tour. And especially if it's repetitive. If it's repetitive stuff going on, like if you're planting, like the boxwoods in the cut flower garden, I'm pretty sure we're going to speed that one up because it's just going to be a repeat action.
Yeah.
500 times to get all the boxwoods planted. That would get really
Also,
long.
the sound of the auger is really annoying.
Yeah, it really is.
It's not pleasant.
Right.
But it gets the job done.
Yes, it does. We just gave my parents the full suite of garden answer augers with the drill. They're so excited about it. It's so fun. JKM69 said, Laura, how thick is the new gravel you installed? And after it was installed, was it compressed with a roller? I don't see when you walk on it that the gravel is loose. Do you know how many inches of gravel that is?
Like 2?
Yeah, maybe. And roller, yes. They do bring a roller and then they wet it down and all that. Get all the dust off of it. Carol said, did I miss something concerning your John Deere tractor? I I thought Aaron said it was for sale right after he got his new bigger white one. I noticed both were used in this video. Did you guys change your mind?
Kinda. So what I did is I gave them it's actually a bigger John Deere tractor, and I got a smaller one from them.
Traded it in.
We traded it in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm really happy with it, honestly. As you get a bigger property, you kind of realize that you need a lot of different things if you're going to do it yourself.
Yeah, unless you want to hire somebody every time.
So like the Bobcat's really good as like a front end machine, but there's a lot of things that it's really bad at, and I kind of realized that as I was trying to level out the area up there where the grass is. Like the land plane on the front is kind of junk. It's really hard to use on a machine like that. So anyway, it's going to be used as like, we can till with it, we can drag the land plane with it, you can use a box blade. Also, it's just a smaller machine, and it's easier to get in the grass.
Yeah. And
you're not going to be causing divots. Like when we put the fountain together, we used the Bobcat, and it was just after we watered, and so I created some ruts. Normally, it's fine if you've just waited and you don't do it right after it rained or watered or anything.
You want to be able to get in there if you need to and not create an issue. So it's like the Bobcat, then you've got the big bucket, and we've got the auger and the pinchers, and it can also handle loads of stone.
Yeah, it can lift like 5,000-6,000 pounds.
Right.
Which is awesome. The John Deere that we got, the John Deere that we had could only lift 2,000. This one can probably only do like 1,000. But most of the time, 1,000 is enough for lifting like the heavy concrete pots that are like 300 or 400 pounds.
Right.
So if you want to get in a small area and just grab one of those things and move it, you can do that with this.
Yeah.
But it can also do like, dethatching and aerating and
basically there's no unicorn machine, and there's no unicorn trailer either. We're learning.
Yeah. If you get into the trailer business, like you need a trailer, you need like 5 trailers. Cause like, is it raining and are you carrying something that needs to be covered? Then you need a covered trailer. Are you hauling a car? Then you need a car hauler.
Do you want to go get compost?
Yeah.
Can you dump with it?
You need a dump trailer. There's just no unicorn.
Soon-ish. Not soon. I shouldn't say soon.
Do you have horses?
Do you have horses?
Right.
You need a horse trailer. Yeah, we've already looked at that sort of situation, but that won't happen for a while. I shouldn't say soon. Misleading. Okay. Zafir said, is landscape fabric permeable? Yes. Does it allow water to pass through? Yes. Put it fuzzy side down on the ground, and it kind of like sticks into the soil. Water passes through it. And we only use it in areas like the high tunnel situation where we want plants, but we don't want to have to spray or hand weed.
Benjamin.
Benjamin's calling.
Hey, bud.
Okay, Aaron's running in really quick, so I'm just going to keep going. But we use it in situations like the high tunnel. I think I just said that, where we want plants, but we don't want to spray or need to hand weed all the time. In the pathways of our raised bed garden, we have it underneath there. Great decision to put it there. We have it under gravel walkways, so we don't have to spray those. Not that a weed wouldn't take hold in hardly anything. We have weeds that'll grow in almost nothing around here, like spurge, and those will still come up. The only other area, we don't use it in flower beds, but we will use it in select locations where we have a noxious weed problem. Like along the arb hedge, there was one spot just outside of the raised bed vegetable garden. Even before we put that, the garden and brick pathway and all of that stuff in, there was a section in that lawn that was just riddled with bindweed. And we knew that if we did not put something in to smother it, that bindweed would make it up the arbs and we'd never be able to get it out. We can't spray it. You'd have to keep on pulling it, and pulling it just kind of angers it and makes it spread around. So I think it would have become a big problem. So we did put it under that, and we put it underneath our boxwood hedge in Versailles, where there was a similar problem. Sheila said, are you going to be able to get the high tunnels up before winter sets in, or is that a project for spring? No, I think we're hoping to get them set up like ASAP. I would love to get everything moved out of the dirtlands so that we're not looking at that kind of, it's a little bit messy in that area, and it's central in the dirtlands. I'd love to have that all cleaned up for the wintertime. Plus, I'd like to have them set up for growing so we can get the mums in there and get them planted. Fortunately, Paul has set up high tunnels more than one time, and he's pretty quick at it. He and Bethany actually just whale into stuff like that and get it done pretty quick. Old Redding Farm said, is there any barrier or edging between driveway and flower beds? If not, how do you keep them separate? It's a little bit hard to. We try to do brick borders in every area where it makes sense. In other spaces, like behind the barn, we're not going to do any barrier. We'll just have a little bit of a wavy line. It won't ever be like super sharp and tidy unless one day down the road when we finally run out of projects to do, we can maybe focus on that. But at this point, it's a little bit low on our list. Okay, next video was harvesting delicata squash, planting greens, and a pumpkin display with the kids. That was a really fun day. It was a stormy day, which made it feel so fall, and it was our first load of pumpkins, so everything was jiving. I needed to harvest the delicata squash out of our raised bed garden area because it was completely covered in spider mites. I showed what the leaves look like, just horrible. I did spray some spinosad in there, some Captain Jack's dead bug, after the plant was removed. Like I sprayed the soil and around the gravel and the boxwood that was right near it. But I didn't really want to spray the plant or any of the edible plants in there while they were growing. So I just thought, let's get this out of here. We'll leave this bed empty for a little while. So we ended up with 14 squash and a plant in a garbage bag. So that's where that went. And then I planted 2 different varieties of greens and a bed full of spinach and a few more pea seeds while we were at it. When we were done with that, I shared Benjamin's fall activities list, and then we went down and picked up pumpkins, which the kids were troopers. Like, they helped pick out the pumpkins, load the pumpkins, unload the pumpkins, and then between the 2 of them, what you didn't see is Samantha was up in the back of the truck, and she was handing us pumpkin, the smaller one she was handing to us. So she was up there and she was acting like it was a store.
Yeah.
When she was up
Selling
there.
them.
Yeah, she was selling them to us as we took them over. And Benjamin moved like half of those pumpkins up to the front steps. So it was a really fun project. Andrea said, enjoyed watching. Do you fertilize your veggies? If so, can you show what you use to get successful crops? I use that Biotone starter fertilizer, which I did use before I planted the greens. That's typically what our vegetables get, is nicely amended soil at planting, and sometimes I'll come along with garden tone or plant tone mid-season to give them a little bit of a boost, and sometimes they don't get it. But as long as you amend that soil in the beginning, it usually turns out pretty nice. Consistent water is also a super important thing, I find.
Yeah.
Consistent water at root level, if you can, is best. Reg said, what do you do with those pumpkins after fall? Do you normally eat those after or feed them to animals? Sorry for the question. I am not from America. Don't ever be sorry for the questions. We don't do fall decorations. No fall season here in my country. I love Benjamin's list for fall activities. So the pumpkins and squash that we decorate with, we give to Bethany. It's so nice. Actually, I noticed a comment, and maybe it'll be on here somewhere, but they were like, is giving it to Bethany code for tossing it or putting it in the compost pile? It is so not code for that. Bethany takes all these things, and if she doesn't use it, she finds homes for it.
Yeah.
Like, she networks with people, and she loves finding a need and filling it. That is her gift in life, or seeing a need and filling it. And I feel like that is, like, it's a huge blessing to people. And if we can be a part of it by, like, giving her things to give away,
Sure.
It's great. But her pigs eat so much of our stuff. In fact, she and Paul both had their trucks in the cut flower garden yesterday, and they were pulling all the rest of the corn remnants and like the sunflower remnants and a whole bunch of other things in that area that are just done and we need them out. And she takes everything home and dumps it all in the pig pen and they eat it all. Linda said, is there something you can put into the soil to kill any remaining mites? Into the soil? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they do overwinter in the soil.
That's why I sprayed it. And spray is more of a contact thing,
Yeah.
You know, there's not a whole lot of residual. And I did say I was going to go spray it again, and I will do that. I'll go out there and spray it again with something different, probably, just to, if there's any other ones, maybe I'll do an oil, like a neem oil, something that'll coat the eggs. That might still be there. Yeah. Bonnie said, is leaving them in the sun to cure true for all squash or just the delicata? It's pretty true for all squash. Usually when we get done harvesting, we'll just leave them in the back of the gator for a little while and they're outside. Or I sometimes will just lay them in the barn on the floor, just kind of somewhere out of the way where they've got good airflow. It's nice and warm for them. They get lots of bright light, not direct sunlight in there. But you want a chance, or you want them to have a chance for their skin, if there's any nicks or, you know, any blemishes, that they have a chance to dry real well before going into storage. It also helps their skin kind of like toughen up a little bit. Dry down a little bit. I harvested some acorn squash yesterday and just took it straight in the kitchen, cut it in half, and did like the whole butter and brown sugar and cinnamon. Did you eat 3 halves?
No, 2.
You ate 2. Yeah.
It's so good.
They were so good. Oh my
You were
gosh.
like, it's just a vehicle.
It is a vehicle for all the good stuff, but it's such a soft, yummy vehicle.
Yeah.
For it. Awesome Gardener said the mums with the pumpkins are beautiful. How can you tell the difference between annual and perennial mums? Mums are something I normally don't do for fall, but my mom got a hold of some of the most gorgeous mums for a really inexpensive price. I mean, I was kind of floored. So there are hardy mums that you can plant in your garden, which these are. We can put them in the garden after we're done with them in the display. And there's also like florist mums, which a lot of times the mums you see this time of year are florist mums and not hardy, but there are a few differences, a few things that you can that will help you tell which is which. Typically, well, you can read the tag. Tags will help. Even if there's a variety name on the tag, just Google it and see what zone that particular variety is. Hardy mums have a definite smell if you crush up the leaves. And I mean, if you know a mum smell, you just know, I guess. Mum leaves that are hardy are a little bit differently shaped. Like the florist mums are a little bit thinner and they don't have as many notches on them. Maybe there's some pictures we can toss up. I don't know. Let me see if there's pictures in here. Hardy mums typically have a little bit of a more open growth habit too than a florist mum. Anyway, you can Google it yourself too. Like, how can you tell a florist mum from a hardy mum? And you can find all kinds of different info on that. Margaret said, do you still have the concrete pumpkins you made a few years ago? I do. I made those concrete pumpkins when we lived in the townhouse. I have them. They're up in the loft. I need to get them out. My mom still has hers too. I made her a set of them and she brings them out. It's kind of fun. I still have some of those little paper mache, like cardboardy looking forms too.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I have some of owls as well. I should just give them away for somebody who wants to craft with them. Those are in one of my fall tubs.
You should give them to Bethany.
I should give them to Bethany. Julie said, do you ever worry about the spider mites transferring to your clothes or the cats? I don't worry about it. I know it's happening. I mean, we try to be the most careful we can, discarding heavily infested things, like by putting them in a garbage sack. And I was very careful when I was rolling it up, and I rolled it like right into the sack instead of,
They're probably kind of everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if you pulled that plant and then drug it to the gator and then loaded it up into the gator and took it out, I mean, you would spread them everywhere. Yeah. So I think we do what we can to minimize. But like Douglas is laying up in the bed and then he gets up and leaves and goes lay somewhere else. I'm sure he's transferring them. I mean, there's really...
What are you going to do?
Yeah, you can't control all of it. But I don't worry about it. It's like, it's part of it. Yeah. Silverfish said, we have gourds over here in Scotland. Are they baby pumpkins? No, gourds are different from pumpkins. There are actual, lots of different types of gourd seeds. And people use them for, things. Like making bowls and crafts and things. I don't know, are gourds edible? Is there any edible quality to them?
I don't know.
I've never grown a gourd to eat it. I feel like that's a stupid question. Most gourds are not edible, but some are.
There you go.
Yeah. Some gourds are edible, but they are best harvested when they are young, tender, and mild tasting. Young apple gourds can be added to curries. And then a lot of people, birdhouse gourds can even be eaten if they're fresh and have not been used for a craft project. Anyway, yeah, they're different. Tony said, when preparing raised beds to go through the winter, is it okay to add compost on top now so it will be ready in the spring, or should I wait until spring to apply it? I'd probably wait until you're ready to plant. It might make it look nice, and it would definitely condition the soil, but if you are in an area that has a particularly high amount of rain or snow, it can leach some of that out too, and you may not have as high of concentration of goodies in there when you get ready to plant. That's kind of how I see it. And that might just be coming from somebody who, when we get huge amounts of rain, the ground does not know what to do with it. It does not accept it.
Right.
And we flood. So I always think of my mulch and my compost floating down the river of water going who knows where. Next video is plant shopping for the dream stream. That was fun. I went down to the garden center by myself. I thought about bringing the kids, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I just was able to focus. And I walked through the whole nursery more than one time. And we just looked at everything in there. We hauled away a bunch of stuff, a bunch of trees, shrubs, some grasses, perennials, a lot of things that are just going to be awesome for this project. And the reason why, and I explained this in the video, is that, there are so many people coming. There's 25 people coming from all over the place. I think it's from as far away as Scotland this time around. And they're putting so much work and effort into this project that on my end, I'm the plant person there, So I want my part, I want to put as much effort as they're putting in.
Sure.
And so that means over preparing with plants. So we have all kinds of different things to choose from. Not all of the things that I picked up are going to end up in the dream stream, and I know that. Thankfully, we've got all of this open space to plant back here, so none of it's going to, go to waste whatsoever. But I just want to have lots of beautiful things sitting there waiting for the project. Charles Knight said, I've always wondered, do you get all the plants from your parents for free? No, I get the family discount for sure, but they're not losing money on me, so we pay for it. I paid my whole IOU that day.
It was a lot.
I know. Well, it's because we've had a lot of recent amendments for the grass.
Yeah.
And pallets of things. And yeah, that added up real quick. Landscape fabric. The big rolls are expensive.
Yeah.
The 12-foot wide ones. My goodness.
Paul was asking, you going to put these on the store? I was like, I don't think we can ship out
No.
12-foot
Oh my
rolls.
gosh. They're so heavy too.
Yeah.
Oni Davis said, I can't wait to see the dream stream. On the trees, can you explain the root system on them, if they're invasive or how far they spread? Oh boy, there's so many trees I got. I didn't get anything that was particularly invasive though. So just know that, I guess. You could go through the list and Google every single one of them and learn about different root systems too. The one thing that they did say to be aware of was birch trees in particular, and I'm sure willows are the same way. Anything that's super water loving, if you have them too close to the pond, they can sense it. It's like they can smell the water, and even if they can't get through the liner, their roots will jump over the liner and they will find it somehow. So we do have some birch trees in the general area of the pond already. There are two clumps of 3 each, Royal Frost birch, and then there's a heritage birch way back behind it. So there's birch trees in there because I do think that they look really appropriate for that sort of space, but they're far enough away from the water where they won't become a problem. And I don't think I ended up with any birches. We've got heritage birch sitting in the Jaker load out there, but nothing else like that, I don't think. Brandy said, I live in Zone 6, Ohio. What kind of plants or shrubs can I use in a shaded, wooded area? Oh, you need to watch the garden tour of Peggy's garden. I think it's titled The Most Beautiful Garden. Garden tour of the most beautiful garden ever.
We'll put a link to it.
Yeah. Just watch that tour. You'll get all kinds of ideas. Kathy Smith said, serious question. Have you ever met a plant or a tree that you just didn't like?
Yes.
Yes. Go. You go.
That blue fescue, blue dune grass. Is that what that is?
No, it's a blue fescue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. That's dumb. It just looks like it's trying to die.
It's not being irrigated.
Is that a beech? Like a weeping beech? It might look better in other areas. Yeah. I think it's maybe too harsh here.
Maybe. Yeah.
It looks like it's trying to die here. Mm-hmm. You go.
I don't want to categorize something as a whole, but I don't love a lot of spirea.
Oh, yeah.
They're always kind of junky looking around here, but not all of them. I love blue kazoo, and I love glow girl. Glow girl, I need more of those. Mm-hmm. We've also planted a few other, like a Miss Dolly is that one. It's doing really well. I don't know if that's the name of it. It's a newer one, I think maybe for this year, and it looks really good. So not all spireas, but some, and they're not like really thickly branched. So when they are kind of losing leaves, there's a lot of little itty bitty branches that make them look really kind of messy.
Sure.
Same with potentias. Kind of on the fence about potentias. Usually they're used in mall sort of situations.
Mall plants.
I used to, and hibiscus, big dinner plate hibiscus. We've got a bunch of them, and I have a deep appreciation for them now, but it was never something, well, I take that back. I did grow.
It began as something, and then they went out of favor really quickly for me, and they're just now, I am understanding, I guess, how much they can bring to an area that's just kind of like a forgotten space, I guess. Yeah. And we've got them on the exterior of the south garden, like the lavender lilac crush. Is that what they're called? Lilac crush. And then we moved that evening rose out into the dirtlands, and I've ordered a bunch of hibiscus to go out there because they take up space and they provide a ton of color. So it's funny though, like how you evolve. I used to just think, yeah. Say what you mean.
Nope. That's like where the live video. I'm censoring myself right now. And I like magnolias. So
You don't like magnolias?
I don't love magnolias. I think they're fine. It's just that our area, what happens is that they come out and they're gorgeous when they start to bloom. Every year we get a cold snap.
Right.
And it takes the blooms and makes them look like brown wads of like a fast food napkin, all crumpled up, thrown all over in the trees.
Yeah.
And then they just fall to the ground and they look like junk.
It's too short-lived.
Not a fan.
Yeah, the blooms are too short-lived.
Yeah, you get to see them for like a week.
Yeah,
And
or
then
less.
Then they're destroyed.
Yeah.
And so I do think they'd be pretty if that didn't happen. Any other plants that I do not like? Now, I hate to say that too, because it doesn't mean I wouldn't try a new variety, or...
Some of it is just what plants you don't like here. Mm-hmm. Like they might do fine in another climate.
Right. Sarah said, so excited to see the future dream stream. Me too. Oh. You mentioned fire blight. Does it mean the eventual death of a tree? It can. Or can the tree be made healthy again? So fire blight, which I've talked about it more extensively in a video, it's something that's spread in the spring when the tree is in bloom. And it's usually when there's a lot of moisture in the air, rain, things like that. And what you'll see in the tree later on in the season, not right then, but later on, you'll see individual branches coming out of the plant, and they get kind of a crook on the end of them, and then they're all dead. Like that branch is dead, maybe not all the way back. So you can cut off the affected stuff. Like you want to go 6 inches down below where you see the affected parts stop, and you need to clean your pruners between each cut so that you don't spread it around even in the same tree. There's a spray that you can use. I think it's like is it streptomycin? I don't know if my vet days are bleeding over into my garden days, but what is the active in this? I think it's a Fertilome product. Yeah, streptomycin. Oh, yeah.
How about that?
So you spray it once a week for 3 weeks during bloom stage, and that usually takes care of it. So you can stop it. In fact, we had to do that with our big crabapple up in the front of our house, which last year we were like, we're going to get rid of this tree. It's just we're not getting a handle on this thing, and it's looking worse and worse. Well, this year it's looking amazing. So I'm thankful for that because I really do like that tree. Debbie said, do you ever find yourself talking to yourself, not realizing you don't have your camera? No, I'm very aware usually of camera and no camera. It's not like the camera's part of me,
Right.
Mudchuck said, when you say the plant zones, why are you only saying the low zone? I live in the south, and I think some of those evergreens would not be happy here. Is that correct? That is correct. A lot of times if I don't list an upper zone, it's because it needs to be Googled, because it doesn't say it on the tag. And most of the time, like when I was going through all those plants, I wasn't going to sit there and Google every single one of them to see the high end. So I usually give it and for us, it really doesn't matter how high. I mean, it does.
It doesn't.
But we just need to make
area.
sure it will survive our winter.
Well, I think what happens is that the growers that are growing those evergreens, they don't sell them in the south, and so they only sell them in areas where the low number is the only number that matters. So I think for that reason, they just why list the upper number?
Although, what would it hurt? Just to say this is a zone 2 through 7.
I think it's just something they don't think about.
They should.
Well, but
they're more in the business than I am.
But they're not shipping to an area. They're not shipping to a warm climate.
Well, sometimes you do. I mean, we get in tropicals all the time to grow as annuals or to take inside as houseplants.
Yeah, tropicals, sure, but evergreens. Because those are hard to ship. And
but even some dogwoods, they're zone 3 through 7 or 2 through 7, and they list a high end on that, or a high end, because that even is pushing it for our area.
Oh yeah.
Because USDA says we're a zone 7. We're not. We're a zone 6. But
I just think it 100% matters that they only list it when it's only sold in the area that it matters. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't find it in the south. Sure. And so it's it doesn't matter. If you're watching a video in the south of someone who lives where we live, then that's the only kind of time that happens.
But you have garden centers like my parents' garden center. People come from all over the place, and you might have somebody who actually lives in a zone 7B or an 8. And those
they should list it. I mean, it would be easy. I'm not trying to make an argument for why they shouldn't list it.
Throw down.
I'm just trying to make the argument for why it is the way it is, not for why it should be the way it is.
That totally makes sense. Yeah. It does. I just say it's
Isn't that funny sometimes? Because I like to do that where I'll argue a point of why something is the way it is, and people think that I'm arguing that I think it should be that way. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm with you. I'm just saying here's the reason.
I think Aaron could take any point, whether he believes in it or not, and you could make an argument and make people believe you.
No, I
think you have that ability.
That's a step too far. I don't think I could make anybody. I could make a semi-convincing argument of a lot of points. Mm-hmm. But it'd be real surface level, and anybody who actually knows what they're talking about.
I have to stay on my toes though, because you could switch an argument really fast. Mm-hmm. Chrissy said, nice selection. How do you decide if you get a spruce or a pine? What's the difference? Well, they're different structures, growth habits. The pine needles are long, spruce needles are short. Lots of different varieties within each category. And we just like to have a mixture of those things because I think it makes for a diverse landscape. Each plant will play host to different types of wildlife as well. So it's good to not have a monoculture. Good to have lots of different things going on, and it looks pretty. Okay, next video is a little chicken coop flower bed revamp and harvesting red Pontiac potatoes. So the chicken coop project was, my intention was just to plant the pot and one hydrangea in the ground, and it turned into painting a board, scraping and painting a board at the bottom to make it look better on the coop. I also dug out the roses that were in there, put more hydrangeas in, fixed a drip issue at the same time. And then we did have enough time to go out and harvest the red Pontiacs. And we got the most massive potato. I did not weigh it, but I should. I should weigh that potato. My goodness. I don't know what was going on with that variety, but we got lots of big ones.
Found a little pocket of biotone.
I guess there was some kind of animal living in. I wonder if that's where the bunny initially had its...
Oh.
Well, I don't know what the difference, like if you have gophers, I mean, I know what a gopher mound looks like, and it kind of had that appearance, but there was a very obvious opening. Most gopher mounds, they're hidden. You have to dig them out and find the opening.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. And a bunch of the potatoes had big chunks eaten out of them.
Wow.
Lori said, will the pink hydrangeas stay pink in the ground? Will you need to add something to the soil to keep them pink? Nope. Those types, the arborescens or smooth hydrangeas, which is what those are, the invincible rubies, or paniculated type hydrangeas, those will stay true to color all the time. I mean, this particular variety, they open pink and they stay pink until they dry. But like limelight hydrangeas or incredible hydrangeas, which are also in those two groups, they might start off a white and turn to a chartreuse green. It's only the serrata or macrophylla type hydrangeas that you can change the soil chemistry, the pH of the soil, in order to get more blue blooms or more pink or purple blooms. So the type we put in, they will be true every year. Kathy said, did you weigh that huge potato? It was amazing. I should. Patrice said, where did you get the rooster statue? I've checked both Henry Studios and Unique Stone with no luck. Wondering if he's no longer in production. Would love him for my chicken coop. I think that's a Unique Stone piece. Pretty sure. Mary Anderson said, wow, those potatoes are huge, which leads me to my question. In last week's recap, Aaron mentioned blood and bone meal in your store. I don't recall seeing you use those products in any videos. When and why would you use either? And did you use them on your potatoes this year? I did not. I don't typically use a whole lot of either of those, but I know a lot of gardeners do, so it's available on our store.
We're probably going to start branching into adding some more things in our store that people want, but is not something that we use.
Everybody's
but are good
different,
products.
yeah.
It's not like, I mean, like I trust Espoma if that makes sense.
It does. My Rustic Gardens said, your chicken coop garden has always been one of my favorites. I love the addition of these hydrangeas. I do too. I'm so happy with it. Question, if one doesn't have a root cellar, is there any point in growing root vegetables in bulk? I was thinking of trying potatoes, onions, and garlic, but don't have a cellar or a space that stays cold. A lot of people used their crawl space for storage like that.
Oh.
Or like a cooler basement sort of area. If you don't have any area at all, I mean, I stored them in our garage. It was a heated garage, so it stayed at about finished. It wasn't like heated. It stayed like 50, 55 in there, so it kept them pretty decently. Other than that, I just wouldn't probably grow as many. I don't think that there's no point. I think it's a fun thing to do. It's a healthy thing to do to grow your own stuff. And if you can't store it for as long, just grow as much as you can eat in that amount of time, the first few months after you dig them out. Julie said, love your videos. I learn so much every day. Question, do you have issues with the biotone starter fertilizer attracting animals or vermin? No. I just had a newly planted, huge, beautiful mum totally destroyed by something digging into the soil. This happens often with new plantings. I know my dogs are attracted to biotone. I've heard that. We don't have dogs in our garden, but nothing else. We have neighbor dogs that come into our garden often and never had one of them dig in our stuff. And we, use biotone everywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe all the neighbor dogs are used to it now. They're like,
maybe
it's just part of the air around here.
Yeah, and we don't have an issue with it in the spring either. I mean, when we went through and fertilized everything, boy, our whole property smelled like Espoma. Yeah. And for 2 days, maybe. It's kind of like until it rains or whatnot.
Settles it back down.
Yeah, but I mean, we've got cameras everywhere, and we would see if something was digging somewhere. We would know.
Right. We've had a lot of interesting wildlife in our area lately. Possum.
Yeah.
possum randomly on
And
one
then
of
like the next day, a raccoon.
a raccoon.
And there's
the
foxes.
fox, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots
Foxes
of
are
cats.
really majestic looking in a way.
They are.
They look like kind of like a magical creature for some reason.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know why.
Like a fairyland. Like
Yeah.
just yeah, they do. Absolutely.
And raccoons are hilarious. Like the fact that it looks like they have
Like a bandit.
like
bandit.
yeah,
Yeah.
on their eyes, and they like rummage through your trash.
Yeah.
That's just the funniest thing in nature, that they look like a criminal.
Yeah.
They look like a cartoon criminal.
Yeah,
You know
they
what I
do.
mean?
Yeah. And of course the skunks. Can't forget
Yeah.
those. Eva Lindell said, all my life I've heard that small potatoes taste much better than big ones. Question, do you taste a difference when planting a huge potato or a small one? I don't get that. Maybe I don't have as a discerning of a palate, although I feel like I do. I can pick out flavors in almost everything.
Yeah.
But like homegrown potatoes versus like going and getting some potatoes at the store,
Kind of the same.
kind of the same. Terry said, I have an older variety of Invincible Hydrangea and it flops just horribly. Has this new variety you planted by the chicken coop better for not flopping? Some of the older arborescens type hydrangeas would flop. The Invincibles, though, I haven't had any issues with them flopping. Most of the time you want to trim them in the late spring, early winter, late spring, and take them down by about a third of their size, and that's what helps create a really strong network of branches down below. And if you haven't done that, oftentimes they will flop because they just get too heavy and the branches are too wispy and you don't have enough structure underneath to hold them up. So that might be something to consider. Okay, this last group of questions is from our recap from last week. Mr. Lang said, does your rainwater leave hard water white spots on plants as well? Just curious if adding a rain barrel would be nice near the Hartley to water those indoor plants.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It leaves dirty. Like, it leaves little
'Cause there's dust in the air.
blotches all over. Yeah. Of
Well,
dust.
actually, it probably just gets wet and then the dust blows
Yeah.
and gets stuck to the
Yeah,
water.
it could be.
Yeah.
Stephen Harris said, you spoke of a bald cypress. We had to cut ours down because it wreaked havoc with our neighbor's irrigation system. We like weeping willows. Are there any issues with their roots? Yes. Weeping willow would not be the answer if you have, yeah. We have 2 weeping willows, and it doesn't mess with our irrigation system. I'd be more worried about a septic system.
Yeah.
I guess. I guess maybe I should have read that question
I
a
mean,
little.
I think the roots of almost any tree could mess with your irrigation system, just depending. You want to use like Schedule 40. Do they even have thicker conduit than that? Or not conduit, but pipe?
You're asking me that question?
I know whoever did our original sprinkler system here on the property, it was the original 1.8 acres. They used Schedule 20 and it's like paper. I remember we'd be digging and just the slightest tap with your shovel, boom, you cracked it. And then you have to replace it. And I don't think we're using any of that. Well, maybe a little bit, but very little of it.
Debbie Jack said, is Evergreen tone new? I don't recall ever seeing that tone before.
Yeah, I think it's fairly new.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's pretty similar to some of the other tones too.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe more of, I don't want to say it's like a marketing thing, but people want to feel good that they're getting the right thing for the right plant. And so people have a lot of evergreens and you can just know that like this is the correct thing, even if it's very similar in composition to some of the other stuff.
Right. I've also said, I love your videos and have learned so much and been inspired to the point I have confidence in starting projects I would never would have attempted before. Oh, that's awesome. I have a question about the landscaping fabric. I know you have tried a few different types. Is there one that you recommend over the other? Yes, the DeWitt Pro. You were actually asking me about that this week.
Well, in a video, you said something to the effect of like, it's the only one I would ever use. And I was like, really? Like, really?
In my experience. So
yeah, but what is your experience at this point in your life?
Well,
like, it's been
Garden
a while,
Center has
right?
sold lots of different types of landscape fabric through the years. And
But are you like up to date on
No.
some of the competitors? I mean, look, DeWitt seems fine. It's
who are the competitors now?
Well, I think that there's a lot. I think if you go to like Home Depot and stuff, I'm not saying it's good or any. I'm a bystander here, but when I hear someone say like it's the only one I would ever use, I'm like, wait, no one will ever make landscape fabric better than DeWitt. And if they did, you would still stand by your statement.
Oh,
and say,
I stand by it.
I would never, because I've cast my lot with DeWitt.
You're laughing. Listen, the DeWitt is the one I have the most experience with, and it works really well for us. So, like, if I saw the lineup and they were equally or better, I don't know how you could be better than DeWitt Pro, but if I saw them all lined up, I would pick the DeWitt Pro.
It sounds like a sponsored video. You know, I contacted him like 6 or 7 years ago, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I actually got in contact with them and they ghosted me. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe inside I have a little bit of like I mean, DeWitt seems like it's good. That's still what we buy, you know?
You know what I also really like of theirs?
What?
I like that tarp. I don't even know if they do it anymore. It's got like Velcro.
Oh, yeah, right.
And it's got handles, and you can put it out and then put your stuff on it and and then gather up.
Sure.
Yeah.
We should bring that back into the store.
Yes. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Next question is from Kathy about the what?
Just some of the tangents that we go on.
You know, Kathy said, "Can the Chitalpa be size controlled? I have a small bed and I'm afraid it will be too big." I think you could size control it because it blooms on new wood. I'm just looking it up again just to double check because the size on the website says it grows 15 feet tall by 10 feet wide. I'm going to have to size control ours for sure. But like ours died all the way back down to the ground, and now they're taller than me. What do you think they are, like 6 feet right now?
Yeah, we'll have to play around with it.
Yeah.
It's such a fun plant, and we've got like 15 more coming, which will be fun, but yeah, we'll have to figure out how big they actually get for us.
Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll leave some of them. Well, the ones out in the dirt land we'll leave alone and they can get as big as they want.
Yeah.
But the ones I thought, okay, so I am not crazy because somebody else saw that the size on the website initially
was smaller,
4 to 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide. So I thought, perfect. And I put them right near a walkway. And then they changed it later on. And anyway, they're going to be way too big for that spot unless we can size control them.
I cannot believe how fragrant it is.
It's the best.
Like, do we have anything on our property that is as fragrant, except for the linden trees?
Yeah.
Linden trees will smack you in the face with the smell.
I love it.
It's
it smells
great.
like a dryer sheet.
Yeah, it does.
Just in the air in the spring. It's awesome.
So lindens are great.
Russian willows are also.
I don't notice.
What are they called? Russian olives, not
Russian
willows.
olive tree?
Russian olive trees smell so good when they're blooming. I know they're messy, but they smell good when they're blooming.
And they look tortured. It looks like a tortured tree.
Yeah, they do a little bit. Yeah. Okay, last question is from Angie. Can you talk more about the horses you plan to get? Do either of you already ride? Will the kids take lessons? It's going to be a learning curve big time.
What kind of horse would you get if money didn't matter?
I don't know that.
Like if you won $1 billion.
I don't think I have a specific breed. I like the look of thoroughbreds and Frisians, which Bethany tells me they're like the poodles of the
really
the horse breeds. I like that look, but I don't think it's so much a look for me as it is meeting the horse. I want to get a horse from our area too. Like I don't want to I don't know. Something that's, acclimated to our weather that lives here already.
Sure.
Oh, that's so pretty, Samantha. Thank you. Were those from the ones in front of the greenhouse?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's leave any more flowers on them, okay? I'm going to really take care of this one special.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
I don't want to discourage her from cutting flowers, but off of plants I haven't even planted yet. It's all good. Anyway, we will all be taking lessons. There's a lot for all of us to learn about that whole realm.
I don't think I'm going to take any lessons.
Well, maybe not you, but the kids and I will, for sure. Thankfully, we know lots of people who, know horses and have been around horses. And I was around horses growing up a little bit in that they were in our pasture. People would bring them and they would be in our pasture, but we couldn't ride them, but I could go out and pet them and that sort of thing. And then I did take a few lessons when I was an adult. I think we were married at that time when I took lessons. Maybe not. Maybe it was before we got married. Anyway, I took some lessons. So we'll see. I don't know. It's just going to be an interesting time. Exciting time. Anyway, guys, that is it for this week's recap video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys are all having a great start to your week, and we will see you in the next video.